I moved into this crappy little apartment complex a few months ago. It was this rundown 1970s looking place on the edge of the city. No elevator, weird smells in the hallway, but whatever. It was quiet, and that's all I wanted. The only unwanted part was my upstairs neighbor, Samantha. She was an older woman, probably in her late 50s or 60s, but she kept to herself. She never made eye contact, even when we crossed paths on the stairs. She would barely leave her apartment, and when she did, she always bundled up like she didn't want to be recognized. I thought she was just a basket case. Some nights I'd hear her pacing around for hours. She would often be heard whispering to herself, practicing lines over and over.
You know you want me. I've been so bad. You know you want me. I've been so bad. I know you want me. I've been so bad.
It wasn't sounding attractive, trust me. It was just sad, like she was trying to convince herself. Then, one day, I heard our landlord talking to another tenant about her, saying she's too old to do OnlyFans. It took me a minute to connect the dots. Anyway, fast forward to last month. It was a Thursday night at around 11 p.m. I'd just gotten home from a late shift and was eating cold pizza on my couch when I heard something upstairs that didn't sound like acting. It felt like a scream that was stopped in the middle. The silence was killing me because I expected to hear more like I usually did, but nothing. Before I could ponder on it, I heard a heavy thud right above me. I waited, thinking maybe she dropped something, but my gut feeling kept telling me something wasn't right. I grabbed my phone and quietly went up to her floor. The hallway was dark and empty, but Samantha's apartment door was open, not wide, just enough that I could see her bare feet on the floor inside, and they were lying still. I pushed the door open slowly and walked in. Samantha was lying on the floor in this red satin robe. Her mouth opened in a scream with her eyes wide open. There was a weird bruise on her throat, dark and fresh. I couldn't believe she was dead. It took me a minute to start dialing 911 on my keypad, and as I was doing so, I heard her toilet flush. My heart stopped. Someone was still in there. I swiftly ducked behind this crusty old couch just inside the apartment. It reeked like cheap perfume and cigarette ash, but I didn't care. I dropped to the floor and held my breath. I heard the bathroom door open, followed by heavy footsteps coming out, and then the door closing softly. Whoever was in there didn't want to make much noise, but at the same time, that person had no idea of the existence of a third person. I peeked in carefully to find this pale, bald man wearing a wrinkled trench coat. He began humming Elvis Presley very creepily. Wise men say... but I can't help falling with you. He slowly crouched beside her body and ran his hand down her face like she was still alive. You lied to me, said you were 20, acting like you were special. I then saw him pulling out this small blade from his coat pocket. It wasn't a kitchen knife, but rather a scalpel. The entire encounter was turning into a horror movie that I was watching live. What happened next will never let me sleep peacefully for the rest of my life. He started cutting into her arm. At first, he made clean, shallow cuts as if he were carving something. The sound of flesh getting sliced made me nauseous, but I still kept my calm. You thought you could make me want you again? Look at you, skin sagging, makeup hiding everything. He chuckled under his breath, then said, I loved you when you were real, not when you became this joke, and stabbed the scalpel in her eye. I watched him pull out her eyeball like it was nothing. I just wanted to vomit. I had my phone out, recording from behind the couch with one hand, and the other was clamped over my mouth. He kept slicing and mutilating her body while talking to her like she was still alive. You begged me to come back. Remember? You said you'd do anything, and now, look, just lying there, like all the others. I was shaking so hard my phone nearly slipped out of my hand. He finally stood up and walked toward the kitchen, still humming that awful tune. I took the chance. I crawled backward like my life depended on it. I managed to slip through the door gently and I pulled it shut. Then I bolted down the stairs and called 911. I told them everything. I was choking, crying, swearing, and trying not to puke. The cops showed up in less than 5 minutes. They arrived with their guns drawn and their flashlights blazing. They went up and pulled him out screaming. He was covered in blood and was laughing maniacally. I gave them the footage. They didn't even blink, just thanked me and took it like they'd seen this sort of thing before. I later found out the guy was Samantha's avid follower from her OnlyFans. Samantha had blocked him months ago after he started sending disturbing messages. The man had a criminal record that included assault, breaking and entering, and several minor stalking charges that were not taken seriously by authorities. He'd been hiding in her apartment since earlier that day, just waiting to punish her for not being his perfect fantasy anymore. I haven't slept much since that night. I moved out the next week. Sometimes I still hear his voice in my head singing Elvis Presley while cutting up a dead body. I wonder how many other women he treated that way before Samantha. But most of all, I wondered what would have happened if I'd gone upstairs 5 minutes earlier. So this happened about 7 months ago, and I'm only talking about it now because I'm still trying to wrap my head around what really went down. I just started an OnlyFans. Nothing crazy, just lingerie and suggestive stuff. It was fun. I was getting attention, compliments, and yeah, the money was nice. I was in a long-term relationship with this guy named Reed. We'd been dating for almost 2 years. From the second I told him I started the page, he was unhappy about it. He'd be like, "This isn't you. You don't need validation from randoms." He even gave me warnings like everything bad was going to happen because of me using OnlyFans. One day some creep is going to show up at our door. He kept calling it a mistake, but I brushed it off. I wasn't posting my address or anything. Plus, it's 2025. Girls are allowed to feel themselves online, right? Anyway, one night we were driving back from my friend's birthday party, and we stopped at this old stranded gas station off the highway. It was past midnight. I stayed in the car while Reed went inside to grab an energy drink and some smokes. I was on my phone, scrolling through DMs. A lot of it was trash, but I had a few loyal subs who were sweet. I was totally engrossed in it, so I didn't notice someone was watching me. When I looked up, I nearly screamed. A man was standing right outside my window, only inches away. He was filthy. He wore these mud-caked pants, had a dreadlock beard, and cracked lips. He looked completely gone mentally. I instinctively locked the doors. He started tapping on the window. Tap, tap, tap. I yelled. But he just smiled. And then he took out his phone and showed me my OnlyFans page. A feeling of dread rushed down my spine. My eyes kept searching for Reed, begging him to be back as soon as possible. The crazy guy started rambling. "It's really you, the angel from the screen. Can I touch your hair? Please, just one touch." I screamed and honked the horn. The man brushed his dirty hands on the window like he was imagining how it would be to touch me. "I knew you'd be prettier in person." I was on the verge of crying when Reed sprinted out of the store, and I swear I've never seen him move that fast. He tackled the guy in the middle of the parking lot and punched him. I watched him knock 3 teeth out of that guy. We got in the car and sped off. I told him everything while sobbing like a 9-year-old. Reed was breathing heavily, knuckles bleeding. "See? I told you this would happen." That night, I deleted my OnlyFans. I didn't even hesitate. I felt exposed and extremely violated, like I had been shoved into a trash can. I began questioning my self-worth. It was the worst night ever. For weeks, I kept thinking back to that man's eyes, how he looked like he truly knew me, how he begged for a touch like he thought I was real-life property. I couldn't sleep. I jumped every time someone walked by the apartment. Reed took care of me, but kept reminding me every day how he saved me. He'd constantly say, "Imagine if I hadn't come out. What would have happened? Now you understand why I didn't want you doing that stuff." And honestly, I felt grateful. Like, yeah, he was right. Maybe I had invited danger. A month or so later, Reed was at work, and I was cleaning out our junk drawer looking for a spare charger cable. I was bored, organizing old receipts and junk mail. Suddenly, I found an old beat-up prepaid flip phone. It was hidden under expired coupons and a dead flashlight. I don't know why I opened it. I figured it was from forever ago. But when I turned it on, it still had charge. And there were messages. Not many, just like 5, all from the same number. No name, just texts. One caught my eye right away. It said, "Are you sure this is just to scare her? I don't want any cops on my ass." My heart dropped. Another one said, "Cash App didn't go through. Need 50 more for bus fare." I kept scrolling, hand legit shaking, and then I saw the message that made me feel sick. "Wait until she's alone. Show her the OnlyFans page. Just scare her a little. Make it real. I need her to quit." My mouth went dry. It was dated 2 days before the gas station incident. I sat there in total silence, staring at that line. Make it real. That psycho in the parking lot, he wasn't some obsessed subscriber. He was sent. My boyfriend Reed hired him. I went cold all over. I couldn't breathe. I kept asking myself, why? Why would someone do that to the person they love? And the worst part? Reed played the hero. He staged the entire situation to scare me into deleting my account, and then he rescued me from the very scenario he created. He staged the whole thing so that he could say later, "I told you so." I packed my stuff the next morning and left while he was at work. I didn't confront him. I didn't even give him closure. I went full ghost mode. I changed numbers and blocked him on everything. I still think about what would have happened if that man had gone too far. If Reed hadn't saved me in time. If his plan had spiraled. I haven't posted anything online since, not even on IG, and I've been in therapy trying to untangle all this twisted crap thrown my way. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. That man at the gas station, he knew my name, but he also said something I can't forget. He said I'd be prettier in person. I wonder if he said that to himself or Reed told him to say that. It terrifies me to think that the real stalker wasn't the man at the window. It was the one sleeping in my bed. We used to be that duo, you know, Marty and Juliet, ride or die. We used to have sleepovers every weekend, matched friendship bracelets, and shared inside jokes like no one else understood. But like most high school friendships, it crashed hard. And if I'm being real, yeah, I was the one who lit the match. It was junior year. There was this guy, Tyler. Tall, soccer team captain, perfect abs, and the literal reason why I used to fake walk by the football field every day. I never told Juliet how I felt about him. I was saving it, waiting for the right moment, you know? But one Friday night, everything changed. Juliet got drunk at Jamie's basement party, like messy drunk. And next thing I know, someone's yelling,
"Juliet just kissed Tyler!"
right in the middle of Truth or Dare, in front of everyone. I swear it felt like a knife on my back. I mean, even though I never told her, she knew I had a crush on him. Later, she tried to justify her actions by saying,
It didn't mean anything.
that she barely remembered it, but all I saw was betrayal. The worst part? She looked happy, like she won something, and I just stood there, quiet, pretending I was fine. But inside, I was already planning her karma. I don't know when I became that girl. I wasn't always so bitter, but something snapped. A week later, I started messing with some AI image generators, just testing stuff. It didn't take long before I realized I could make fake photos, really realistic ones. I uploaded random selfies from Juliet's old Insta, ones she didn't even remember existed, and then used this deepfake plugin to morph them into poses she never took. Scenarios she'd never be in, but it looked like her with all the details. Then I made a fake OnlyFans profile, used a burner email. Her bio said, "I'll do anything for money." I shared the link in our school group chat. No name, no caption. There was only a link and a fire emoji. By lunch the next day, everyone had seen it. The boys were the worst, whistling when she walked by, waving bills in her face, whispering stuff like, "How much do you think for a halfway special?" Juliet looked like she wanted to vomit. She didn't even confront me. She just disappeared. By the last period, she was gone. Didn't answer her phone. She never made it home. Didn't post. Just gone, out of sight. I told myself she deserved it, that it was justice for what she did to me. But deep down, even then, I felt this weird crawling guilt, like I'd taken things too far. That night, I was in my room, scrolling through DMs from people hyping up my mystery drop. It was sick. However, I felt too invested to stop. All of a sudden, I heard something. I heard a soft creak just outside my door. I looked up, confused. My bedroom door was half open, but I always close it. I was trying to listen over the rain tapping my windows. Just then, I saw her, Juliet, standing in the doorway. She was drenched to the skin. Her hair was dripping and her eyes were glowing in the dark. She looked nothing like the girl I saw last time. As I eyed her down, I clutched my bedsheet in fear. There was a kitchen knife in her right hand. I thought I was dreaming. I nervously laughed.
Hey, what are you doing here?
She didn't say anything. She stepped into the room, water squishing into her jeans. Her lips were trembling, but her grip on the knife was solid. She scratched her head with the knife. I could see blood and skin on the tip of the knife as she scratched too hard.
You thought that was funny, huh? Look, I didn't know.
You knew very well.
I didn't even have time to react. She lunged at me and we hit the floor hard. She began swinging the knife down with a face full of violence and disdain. I caught her wrist just in time, but the blade nicked my shoulder. Screams and blood soaked through my hoodie in seconds. She was crying, like ugly crying, but still fighting like she wanted me dead. We rolled over, hit the dresser, and knocked over my lamp. I screamed louder than I ever have in my life. She grabbed my right hand. I saw her raise the knife and aim straight at my finger. I begged for her mercy because I could see my death in her wide, horrifying eyes.
Please, Jules, stop!
She didn't. I felt the blade slice my knuckles. A crackling sound of my bones breaking was followed by excruciating pain that turned me numb on the spot. In my blurry vision, I saw her holding my index finger and showing it to me like a trophy. Her hysteric laughter echoed in my room. I could feel myself fainting when my dad busted in. He saw the blood, saw Juliet with the knife, and just lost it. He tackled her off me, screaming like an animal. She kicked and thrashed, trying to reach the knife again, but he pinned her down and yelled for my mom to call 911. Until the cops arrived, my dad held her on the ground the whole time. Juliet accepted defeat after a few minutes of struggle. She just went limp. Cops took her away in cuffs. I was rushed to the ER, finger gone, shoulder slashed, mentally destroyed. That one night changed everything. I confessed to the cops, telling them the whole truth. There's no point in lying. They didn't charge me since I was technically the victim of the attack, but I got expelled. And yeah, my parents look at me differently now. It's been 5 months. I still wake up at night hearing that creak, feeling the knife on my skin, seeing her face.